What is going on? Good morning to you, party people in that house. It is Thursday, and I've got a lot of good Longhorn topics for us to discuss. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about the offense. What that looked like today, we're going to talk about a defense that is dominating in a way that should make you happy. So go ahead and hit the like button to this video right now. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. We're growing strong. We want to keep that thing going. So good morning to everybody who is here in the chat. And if you didn't get a chance to catch yesterday's video, you can do that as well. But I'll kind of recap as we kind of start getting into everything. And I see everyone there in the chat as well. Yesterday we talked a little about, and I'm just kind of retweeting things, guys, as I go here. And yesterday we talked a little bit about where the offense was coming out of, this past weekend. And we talked a little bit about what Steve Sarkisian's concerns were as relates to the offense, right? And Sark just talked about maybe some of the times the guys would, it's the cake bait, my goodness. Don't ever use that analogy again, Adam. We don't want it. We don't need those memories. It's like that old song. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Charlie. And we talked about, he was talking about, hey, sometimes the guys get a little down. They let one thing linger. And, you really wanted to see a little bit more out of the offense. And one of the things that I had told you guys that I had heard was that the offense was okay, but it was nothing really special so far. Everyone wanted a little bit more. Everyone wanted to see a little bit more special. And again, it wasn't a death sentence. It wasn't like anything bad, like, ooh, it wasn't anything dramatic, right? It was just, hey, I always say, it's a zero-sum game when you get into practice. One side is doing good, that means the other side's not. The other side's doing good, that means the other side's not, right? So, it's kind of a lose-lose, right? It's a zero-sum game. It doesn't really matter, right? But the good part about that, and the great part about that, is that this defense is salty. And look, there may be another young, hipper term in order to use to describe what this defense is, and Money B may have it, Rodolfo may have it. Y'all young folks, y'all may have the newest saying. I'm old school. I'm just gonna stay in my own lane, right? I'm not learning any new dancers. Got nowhere. I'm comfortable in my skin, so I'm just gonna stay with salty. And this defense, which was so good last year, and had some parts that they were missing going into this season, you kind of thought to yourself, okay, what is this thing going to look like? And so far in training camp, it's looking amazing. I'm talking, it's looking amazing. And it's got Sark to the point where he is talking about how good this defense is. And I will give Sark credit. The one thing about him is that he doesn't really talk up stuff unless he believes it to be true. Like, some coaches blow smoke. And some coaches just, you learn, you're like, I got to decipher some things. And Sark's pretty much a dude who says what he means and means what he says. Even if you're asking him a hypothetical question. He says what it means and it means what he says, right? He doesn't mince words. He doesn't waste words. And he doesn't say stuff that he thinks people want to hear. And when Sark starts saying that a guy is good, and Sark starts saying that he's liking what he's seeing, you got to believe it, because he doesn't really blow smoke. He doesn't do all that, right? And so when I start hearing Sark talking about how good the defense is, I'm like, okay. Because last year, one of our concerns going into the season was, okay, they had Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy the year before. What does Alfred Collins and Vernon Broughton look like? And going into that last year, neither one of them had enough skins on the wall where you would say to yourself, oh, man, that's a no-brainer, right? Like the same way we view Anthony Hill this year or Michael Taft this year. We know what to expect. Ethan Berg, right? We got it. We know Colin Simmons. We get it. We get it, right? But those guys are like, I don't know. We'll have to see. And Sark was like, nah, these guys look good. Nah, these guys are pretty strong. Sark just kind of went in a different direction. And I was like, wow, he feels strongly about those guys? Huh. Okay. It's the same way last year he said, and I'm just building up the credibility that he already has, but I'm just giving you my take on it. Last year, the year before, last year, he went out into the transfer portal and brings in the three receivers, right? Bond, Golden, and Bolden, right? And his thing was, hey, we didn't have enough experience in that room, and I needed to bring in some guys. This off season, he's like, nah, I feel pretty good about the talent that we got there. We're pretty stacked. So if the only thing he brings in is Emmett Mosley, you say to yourself, well, all right, Sark. It's Sark I trust, right? So it's crazy. And I hear what Money B is saying. It has been an internal development, Money B, but the consistent part of that has been Pete Kwiatkowski, right? Pete Kwiatkowski, year one, I mean, people were ready to run this guy out of town. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then, like, this is what you did you can do this in Washington. This, what the hell is this? But now, Pete K, you see him, you see that defense, and you look at the edge guys. I mean, we're looking at the interior. We're looking at the linebackers, the DBs, which is just sick at this moment. And at this point, you just say to yourself, man, this team has a chance, and this defense has a chance to be, I mean, just absolutely sick. Now, I'll show you Alex's depth chart. This is Alex Dunlap's depth chart. It's the last depth chart that he had. And again, that's what he projected, okay? But the defense so far in training camp, guys, has been absolutely kicking ass. I'm just talking about absolutely kicking ass and taking names, right? And so we're going to get into some of the things that Sark talked about. But, when you look at this defense, I mean, this is the definition, the absolute definition of good problems. Like these are good problems, right? Because you're looking at how stacked they are at just about every position. And when you look at the guys on Alice's depth chart who are projected backups, you would say those backups could be starters at a lot of other programs, right? And they're all competing, right? Robertson is doing really good. Kobe Black is doing really good, right? You got Williams back and Taft, and you just go, it's stacked. Like, you got to look at what Sark has done. You got to look at what PK has done. You got to look at what Brandon Harris has done. You got to say, my goodness, they have assembled some talent. That's before we get into the freshmen. That's before, as Money B talks about internal development, that's before we get into what Lance Jackson is eventually going to look like, or Justice Terrace is going to eventually look like, or Cade Phillips, right? Or, you just go down the line of what this thing will eventually look like. Even a guy like Grayson Littleton, who we're hearing a lot about at the quarterback position as freshmen. Like it's like, this is a good problem to have, because even if some of those guys don't get on the field, even if some of those guys are, have to wait their turn, you look at it and say to yourself, my goodness, what is this thing going to look like? These are good problems to have. And so when we hear the practice reports, and we hear the practice reports about how the defense is looking good, these are really good problems, like good problems, right? Good problems is like when you've lost weight and you got to buy a whole new wardrobe. My man Justin, another Fragrance Review, knows all about that. My dude over there, just another Fragrance Review, Court. My man lost so much weight. I mean, he went from like Biggie Smalls to, I don't know, slimmer version of Biggie Smalls. he's killing it, right? And props to him for what he's been able to do, right? But that's like a good problem to have. He's like, man, I got to go out and buy new clothes, right? I mean, like, damn, it's a good problem to have. It's like, oh, man, I got 2 job offers, and I don't know which one I want to take, and they both offer me more money. Good problems, right? It's Holly Berry and J-Lo sent me a DM, and I just don't know who I'm going to hang out with, right? And if my girl is watching, I would block them instantly, baby. Instantly, an instant block. I would tell both of those heifers never to talk to me again, baby. You're the only one. Just in case you're watching, because sometimes you are. So let's get into what Sark said. Let's get into break down some of the things where he's at, and let's get Sark talking about this defense and how good it is. And when we think about Ohio State and we think about these games that Texas has to play this year and the necessity to have a defense that travels, man, we got a defense that's traveling. Let's get into a little bit what Sark talked about this week. And let's kind of break it down, as you guys I like to do my reactions to Sark's reactions, like the total reaction video. I like it. All right, let's get into this.
How's he taking care of the ball so far, and how the other quarterbacks taking care of the ball?
We've been good. I felt like yesterday was probably not our best practice of taking care of the ball. Now we've obviously got some guys that we've been working hard on defense about playing the ball even better than we have in the past. And I think in the last 2 days, Manny Muhammad's had a couple picks, which have been really good plays. Jelani McDonald had a nice play today. Warren Roberson. So we're playing the ball, in my opinion, better in the air.
And again, those are just three guys that he just mentioned. And Warren Roberson's the guy who's been coming on. He's one of these guys that I heard people saying, like, oh, do we need to see more out of Warren Roberson? I'm like, you're seeing it. I've heard that he's jacked up, he's yoked up, and he is playing on another level. And again, that's just in the rotation right now. That's just where they're at. And so when you talk about how, again, the flip side of it, right? We were talking about the offensive side of it, but there's the other side of this thing, which is the defense is playing so damn good. All right, let's keep going with this.
We have in the past. It's one thing to guard your man. It's another to play the ball. And I think we're talented enough to play the ball, and we've been making that a huge emphasis. But I don't think it's for, yesterday I thought there was maybe a couple poor decisions. It's not for lack of poor decisions. I think sometimes it's guys making really good plays, and that's what competitive practices are all about. The interior D lineman, man, we're deep.
Okay, so here is where Sark gets really excited. They cut off my question. I asked Sark about the interior defensive line, and I basically wanted to know, like, okay, how those guys doing? Because look, it's look, if the interior of this defensive line is good, then we have no worries this year. We've got no worries about. I'm just saying, I'm not worried about the defense if I know those interior guys are doing really good. And listening to your coach and how excited and pumped up he gets when I ask him, there's sometimes I'll ask Sark something, and I'm talking about my dude will hit it out the park, because you can tell he gets excited about it and he wanted to talk about it. And when he gets asked about it, you want to hear it? Here it go.
Guys making really good plays, and that's what competitive practices are all about.
Here you go.
The interior D lineman, man, we're deep. That's probably the biggest thing I can say about that group right now. And we're playing a lot of guys, which has been good. As you guys know, a lot of our practices will two-spot, where it might be the ones and the threes on this field and the twos and the fours on the upper field, and then we'll go ones and the twos on the lower field, threes and the fours on the upper field. But we've had 2 of our 6 practices where we've been on one field, and we're going ones, twos, threes, ones, twos, threes. And that is when I really feel our depth, because it's really interchangeable. A lot of those guys are pushing and trying to get more and more playing time. So I've been impressed. I've been impressed with Murad Watson, Cole Brevard. I've seen a step out of him. Hero Canoe, Alex January's stepped his game up from where he was a year ago. Levon, in what he's bringing, what he has going. So we're fortunate in that room right now. We've got great depth. I don't think we're going to have to overuse guys. And again, my biggest thing is, do we have enough depth, man? When you look at our team. And I think about January. As much as I'm thinking about August 30th, I'm thinking about this journey we're trying to go on. And hey, football is a contact sport, and things happen in our sport, unfortunately, as we found out with Andre Kojo. And the fact that we have the depth on the O-line right now, the same with the interior defensive line, the same with the tight ends, that's why we have to keep trying to develop these young players, whether it's a Justice Terry or a Josiah Sharma. We got to keep bringing these guys along. They're probably not finished products today. If we were playing today, probably not a great chance they would play. But over time, they're going to earn their way. That's why we got to keep developing these players and not just get into game plan mode. We got to keep working with our young players too.
First of all, a couple of things. I loved that he said not only is he thinking about today, but how he is thinking about January. When I started, when someone said about cake bake and made a reference there, that's what I mean, where we don't even talk about that crap anymore, because we are so far removed from that we got a coach who says, I'm thinking about today, but I'm thinking about January, the playoffs. I'm thinking about our goal that we're going to achieve is going to be the things that we're working towards January. We ain't trying to get bowl eligible. We ain't talking about we need to get seniors eligible for a bowl game, right? All that crap that we had to listen to, all that BS, right? Oh, now, the freshmen get 15 extra bowl practices. You remember all that crap that we had to kind of do as a consolation prize? That's not where this program is at. And so I like that part of it. Also, it was amazing too when we started talking about the depth. He started talking about some of these younger guys who, in years past, you got to throw them out there on the field, right? Because you don't have anything, and you just said, you know what, trial by fire. Like, well, let's just get them out there and hope for the best, right? You get a Malik Jefferson that comes on campus, and he may not be ready, but you just got to throw him out there because you don't got any other options. And now you got these guys coming in who are like 5 stars. Think about this. 5 stars were coming in. They're like, yeah, they're probably not going to play that much. When we start thinking about the program that Sark has created, and you start thinking about, okay, we want this to be the Alabamas of the world, or what Georgia was, right? And that world was a 5-star gets here, and it is like, yeah, you're just one of many. Go ahead and sit your ass down, and we'll get to you when we can, right? It's like being at the DMV. Like, I was there for like 3 hours yesterday, selling a car, just 3 hours. I don't understand, but it's like that. It's like that, right? You just got to sit there and wait your turn. So it's refreshing, and it also shows how salty this defense is, where you got that much talent that's come into this program, and Sark is letting you know, yeah, those guys are talented. They're good. I ain't going to play that much, though. That's how salty this defense is. That's how salty this defense is.
So separation, though, like Vernon.
It's your boy, Kirk. By the way, just because I know you guys like to have fun in the chats, that's Kirk Bowles asking a follow-up question to my question, and then you guys can have fun in the chat. There you go.
To keep trying to develop these young players, whether it's a Justice Terry or a Josiah Sharma, we got to keep bringing these guys along. They're probably not finished products today. If we were playing today, probably not a great chance they would play. But over time, they're going to earn their way. That's why we got to keep developing these players and not just get into game.
By the way, Glenn, I see you in there. Good to see you, my brother. I don't think it's cocky. Cocky is a totally different thing, Glenn. I think, though, there's certain things that you can see that gives you the confidence about where this team is, GT, and is more about being confident. Look, this is a team that's gone to the semifinals the last 2 years. So I don't know necessarily if the expectations should be low. I think your expectations should be very, very high. And I think when you look at what the defense is, GT, I think it's based off of that more so than anything else. But it's good to see you in here.
We got to keep working with our young players too.
So separation, though, like Vernon and Al last year.
Well, I think where we're at now, a lot of these guys probably would have been able to spell those guys more than last year, than we were able to last year. I think that's probably the difference. Right. Some of those guys, if they were on our team last season, Vernon and Alfred might not have to have played as many snaps as they did a year ago. That's what my goal was coming into this season. Could we develop that room into where, man, we can play a lot of players, a lot of people, so that over time that wear and tear wouldn't take its toll on us. And I think we've done that. We went out and got 5 transfer defensive linemen, and we signed a really good D-line class of 3 players there. So I think we're in good shape to have the rotation that we're looking for, and that's nowhere near solidified right now. But, man, we sure have the bodies that are going to help us be able to do that.
So, especially given who you're playing week 1 in this fall camp, to kind of ramp up to find that number 1 star, which is such a unique position when there's kind of quite a few options on the team.
Talk about the star position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in a rush, truth be told. We got time, I think 24 more practices to go, something crazy. I don't know. I mean, that's like an eternity in my world, I need versatility there. I need versatility in our secondary. I love the fact that, man, guys are playing multiple positions right now for us. Because predicated on how we want to play certain calls with certain guys on the field, it might be based on that. And so different guys are going to play. It might be, what's the best matchup for that week, and our defensive staff will figure that out of who their personnel is and what that looks like. It might be how PK wants to call it that week. And so we need all that versatility that we can get, along with the development of our players as we go. But we got a lot of really cool options, and that part I'm definitely excited about.
You bring in the godfather of DBU.
This is going to be a last one. This is the last thing that we're going to have. It's probably 40 seconds left in this clip, and this is going to be Cedric Golden asking about Dwayne Akina. So just more on this defense.
Or your young D-backs on their history with Mr. Akina coming in here?
Well, I think I think they're pretty good. I mean, remember they played for Blake Gideon, and so there's a lot of Dwayne Akina and Blake Gideon, and so I think they got exposed to a little of that. And I think Blake talked about the history of the DBs here. Obviously, having Michael Huff in the building, and just his kind of knowledge and history base on it. So I think they're very aware of it all. And you guys know Coach Akina. He's not short on storytelling either, so I'm sure they've got enough stories that they've got a pretty good understanding of the history and tradition of this place.
All right, and bring you back in. And hey, GT, just real quick, man. Like I said, new to the show, man, and I'm glad that you're here. Texas got a new QB, right? But what we're talking about is the defense, and we look back at, if you look at Quinn and what he was last year, Quinn was not the best quarterback in the SEC. We don't view him as the best quarterback in the country. Nothing like that. No disrespect to Quinn at all, right? But what you had was such a good defense that your offense didn't necessarily have to be outstanding. Like, it didn't have to be clicking. You didn't have to score 40 points a game to win. You won a lot of those games last year because you were strong up front. You had strong DBs. You had the best. Jahdae Barron ended up being the best cornerback in the country, defensive back in the country, right? And so you got both of those guys who got drafted. So many guys got drafted, right? And so at the end of the day, the QB portion is just one thing. Now, listen, I'm not saying Arch is going to be the best thing that's ever come to, best thing since whatever the hell the new analogy is, right? But that being said, I think that's what my point is, GT. It's all about this defense. It's all this whole season. It's all predicated on that. And when we look at the schedule, okay, y'all know this. It's the old adage. It's the old adage in sports. It's the old adage in football that no matter what, defense travels. Y'all know this. Y'all played sports. You follow sports. You got kids in sports. I mean, this is. I don't want to be Captain Obvious, but you understand this, right? And so when you look at going to Ohio State in week 1, if you say this defense travels, it shows up in Columbus, then you say to yourself, yes, you've got a chance. It's the same defense that, by the way, showed up against Michigan last year, defending national champions. I don't care what people want to say the records were, and I don't care how many people they say they lost to the NFL draft. No one would have said that if Texas lost that game. No one would have said that. So I give credit where credit's due. I also give credit where credit is due as relates to the year before that. Alabama on the road, right? When Texas, as long as you got a defense that can travel, you've got a shot. And Texas has shown their defense travels and they show up and show out. You got a defense that on October the 4th travels to Gainesville. Yes, they may have a 5-star quarterback. We know that, right? But if you got a defense that travels and as salty as this defense is, obviously you've got a good chance of winning that game. Same way with Oklahoma. One of the reasons why you kicked Oklahoma's ass 2 out of the last 3 years is because the defense plays outstanding. It just is. And the one year that it wasn't outstanding was, the Dylan Gabriel year. And he ate up that defense. The other times the defense showed up. Right. And then you start looking at, you're at Kentucky, you're at Mississippi State. Today, we don't view those as tough games. But last year, we didn't think Vanderbilt would be a tough game, right? So there's going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere. Somebody's going to come out of nowhere. That's every football season. And last year, we didn't think Vandy was like, oh, Vandy, that's a win. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, snap. You're in life or death in Vanderbilt over there in Nashville, right? So you've got that. And then on November the 15th, when you go to Georgia, and we fly into the ATL, all of us hanging out in the ATL. Y'all go to Magic City. I'm going to chill in my hotel room. I'm not going to give my money away. But y'all go and hang out. Have a good time. You want to make sure you got a defense that travels. And then, of course, when you get into the SEC championship game, that's going to be a neutral field. And then depending on what happens with Texas, what the season looks like, whether they've got a bowl game or bowl games, you've got to make sure that you have it. And so that's the confidence, I think. And that's why I think as a Texas fan, all y'all should be just extremely, extremely pumped, extremely excited about everything that you're hearing and all the reports that you're hearing about this team, about this defense. And know for sure that Sark is not known for being a BSer. Just isn't. So I think you add all that stuff together, all your practice reports, anything you hear out of the scrimmage this upcoming weekend, there's going to be 3 scrimmages. Not this weekend, by the way. That'd be back in the day. Some of y'all played football. Y'all did 3 a days. I know. Yeah, some of you were old school. You guys did 3 a days. God bless you. God bless you for surviving that. But they're going to have a scrimmage the next 3 Saturdays. So this Saturday is going to be really important. This next Saturday is going to be really important. The 3rd scrimmage ends up being where your 1s and 2s have kind of been kind of determined, and that's kind of how you start to get into the game week preparation and getting into Ohio State. So I mean, you know that. And what does it say? And Justin, I think you have a good point here as well. Thank you, by the way, First and 12 Ounce. Appreciate you. I appreciate all the new faces that are here. Justin brings out a really, really good point. He says Sark hasn't produced a team that outscores opponents in a true shootout. Defense should be better this year. Yeah, I got to think. It definitely wasn't last year. Like, we were not on pins and needles on that. I mean, maybe Arizona State potentially but that's not a 40-something to 40. Nothing crazy, right? Where you're going in like 45 to 41, nothing crazy like that. I think, Justin, you got a good point. I'm going to look that up, but I think you are on to something. So I appreciate that. And GT says someone picks them up on the way to the UGA game. Hey, We'll meet you in Atlanta. Everybody drive over. We'll all be in downtown. We'll all be there. So I'll be there as well. All right, listen, y'all. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the new faces that are here. Uncle's here. It's 5 days a week. And hold on one second. What did Money B say? Okay, Text Blonde says Tech in 2023. Yeah, that seems like years ago. What was even that score? I don't even remember that. I don't even remember 2023. What the hell? What the hell was that score, Text Blonde? What was that? Well, the final score was 57-7. So that wasn't necessarily a shootout. Maybe I missed up something. Maybe I stepped in a conversation I need to ease my way out of. I appreciate a lot of new faces that are here. Be here all throughout the season, y'all. So, we ain't going anywhere. Show's not canceled. We are here. We are 10 toes down. We're going to do this. This is going to be a fantastic season. I think you have a lot of reason to be excited. And I was about to sign off, but Chris Dedman wants to keep the party going. So you want to keep the party going and do a super chat, then, as Dion would say, must be the money. All right. Crystal goes, what up, Unc? I haven't checked in for a while. Yeah, it has been a while, Chris. I don't know when the last time you've been here. I've been in the summer, I think. Anyway, he goes, what impact do you think freshman Justice Terry will have? I read that he's working at the jack position. Well, Chris, you joined us a little bit late. Chris, you joined me a little bit late because, Chris, Sark just said if they had to play, if there was a game that had to be played soon, that Justice Terry would not get a lot of playing time. So I think it's growing and developing. I think I look him. See, Glenn, you're new to the show. Glenn, you're new to the show. It's okay. This here, Glenn, is not an Alabama thing. This is the press box pass or press box seating that I had and when Texas went and beat Alabama on the road. This is the reminder. It says Orange Bloods, Bryant Denny Stadium. This is the reminder of when Texas came in and kicked ass. In fact, I've got Texas, Oklahoma is over here. You can't see it. Is it over here? Hold on. This is Texas, Oklahoma. That beatdown that happened a couple of years ago. This is the 2023 season. That's the Big 12 championship season. That's the Big 12 championship there as well. Peach Bowl is there. So that's just press related stuff. I know I know you're new to the show, GT. I like your fire. Slow down, young buck. Slow down. I got this. This is a reminder of all the great achievements that Texas has had recently under Sark. That's all that is. So Justin Terry, back to your question, Chris. Gotta give young buck to slow down. Ease up. I think Justin Terry will be worked in. I think you got to hope that he'll be kind of having that Colin Simmons role from last year, right? Where you start him off a little bit slower, and then you put him in on specific things, and you just tell him go do what you do, go be great at what you do, and then you wait for him to work up his arsenal. So I don't have any worries about him. Again, this is why I go back to first world problems. This is where you're at Texas. Where a 5-star comes in, and you say, well, yeah, man, we'll get to you eventually. Like I said, you tell them to go take a seat. So good things, good problems to have. But go back and listen to some of the stuff that I had a little bit earlier about Sark talking about how good this defensive line is, especially the interior as well. And we're over there. All right. So, okay, the GT, all right? GT's good. I like him. I like the energy. I like all y'all's energy in the chat. A lot of y'all watching right now, so go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so as well. I'll be back tomorrow. I got more Longhorn stuff. We got more Longhorn topics to break down and get into. So, and yeah, I close every show, but I mean it when I say it. Live each day like it's your last, because one day it will be. So make sure you go out, do something special for yourself, something nice for yourself, something cool that you just deserve, even if it's a nice little lunch, it's a candle. I don't know. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods. I don't know, whatever it is that you like. Do something. You got kids. You're always doing something for the kids. Back to school shopping. You breaking out the bank, going out there and buying new Jordans and everything. You got kids in college. You gotta stock them up. Today, make sure you do something special for yourself, all right? Especially all y'all givers out there. I know who y'all are. We know how y'all do. Do something special for yourself because you absolutely deserve it, all right, y'all? I'll be back tomorrow. GT, make sure I see you in the morning. Money B, everybody. I know y'all miss Drunk Unk. It's going to happen one day. Y'all